Your birds have been showing you their trust for years. The signals are specific and behavioral and unmistakable once you know what you're doing. The problem is almost nobody does. Welcome to Backyard Bird Mind. Subscribe if you're new. There are behaviors that birds perform only when they've eliminated threat monitoring completely. When a bird does any of them near you, it's communicating something specific about how it's classified you. And most people are watching without knowing what they're seeing. To understand what these behaviors mean, start with what they have in common. Every one of them requires the bird to suspend something it normally cannot suspend. Active vigilance. A bird in its natural state is never fully off duty. It monitors the environment continuously, tracking movement, processing sound, maintaining a threat map of everything in its vicinity. This monitoring is not optional, and it is not something a bird consciously decides to perform. It runs in the background of every moment, every activity, every second the bird is awake, even while eating, even while singing, even while performing the most ordinary tasks of its daily routine. Some portion of the bird's cognitive resources is allocated to threat detection. The behaviors that signal maximum trust are the ones that require this allocation to be suspended or reduced to near zero for a specific source of potential threat in the environment. That source is you. When a bird performs any of the behaviors in this list, in your presence, it has taken you out of the threat monitoring rotation. Not because it forgot you were there, because it concluded, based on everything it has observed about you, that monitoring you is no longer a productive use of its cognitive resources. You have been reclassified, and the behavior you're seeing is the evidence of that reclassification. The first sign is pining. Pining is the most demanding form of self-maintenance a bird performs. It requires the bird to direct its attention entirely inward, to systematically work through every feather on its body, realigning the microscopic barbules that give feathers their structure, removing parasites, distributing the oil from the pin gland at the base of the tail. A bird engaged in preening cannot simultaneously maintain full environmental vigilance. The behavior requires the kind of focused, sustained attention that leaves gaps in the threat, monitoring it would otherwise maintain. Because of this, birds preen only when they are confident that the environment around them is safe. They pin in secure root sites. They preen in the company of trusted flock members who provide collective vigilance, while any individual bird's attention is directed inward. When a bird pins in your presence in your yard, near your feeder, on the branch near where you're standing, it is telling you that you have been placed in the same category as a trusted flock member. Your presence is not creating a monitoring requirement that would interfere with the behavior. The bird has assessed you and concluded that performing this most vulnerable of behaviors near you carries acceptable risk, which is its way of saying no meaningful risk at all. You have probably seen this. A bird arriving at the feeder after eating, settling on the nearby branch, and working methodically through its wing feathers with its beak. If you were close when it happened, closer than a bird would normally allow a stranger to be, that bird was not unaware of your presence. It was aware of you and had decided you didn't require its full attention. The second sign is eye closure. Birds sleep with one eye open. This is not a figure of speech. It is a documented neurological phenomenon called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One hemisphere of the brain enters a sleep state, while the other remains alert, and one eye closes, of the other stays open. The open eye maintains visual surveillance even during rest. This allows birds to remain partially alert to threats even while sleeping. Full bilateral eye closure, both eyes closed simultaneously, requires a level of perceived safety that birds almost never extend to the presence of a potential predator. When a bird closes both eyes in your presence, it has made the neurological commitment that your presence does not require even the partial vigilance of unihemispheric sleep. This is one of the rarest signals of complete trust that a wild bird can produce. It is not always dramatic. Often it happens quickly, a momentary full closure during a rest between feeding bouts, a brief bilateral shut that passes in a second or two. But if you have seen it happen while you were near, what you witnessed was the bird's nervous system making its most explicit possible statement about how it has classified you. The third sign is proximity singing. Song serves many functions in a bird's behavioral repertoire: territorial advertisement, mate attraction, contact maintenance. But the placement of singing behavior relative to the singer's environment is not random. Birds sing from positions that maximize acoustic range while minimizing personal risk. They tend to sing from exposed perches at height, positions that broadcast the song widely, but also allow the singer to survey the surroundings. What changes with a trusted human is the distance at which a bird will sing. Research on song placement behavior has shown that birds adjust their singing position in response to perceived threat levels in the environment. A bird that has classified a nearby human as safe will sing from positions much closer to that human than it would select near a stranger. The song is directed outward at rivals, at mates, at the territory, but the bird is choosing to perform it from a position that requires the trusted human to be within its personal space. If you've heard a bird singing from a branch directly above your head, or from the feeder post just beside you, that positioning was a choice. The bird selected that location knowing you were there. It did not sing from a more distant branch that would have kept greater separation. It sang from close range, because you had been classified as part of the safe background of the territory, as something that does not need to be kept at a distance. If you've seen any of these and want to see more of what's actually happening in your yard, subscribe to Backyard Bird Mind and share this with someone who feeds birds. Every week, there is something here worth knowing. The fourth sign is the resting posture. A bird in its alert, active state holds its body in a specific way: upright, head raised, muscles engaged, weight forward, and ready to initiate flight. The resting posture looks completely different. The bird settles its weight down into the perch, often fluffing its feathers slightly to trap warmth, tucking the neck so the head sits lower, and in some cases rotating its head to rest the beak against the back feathers. This is a posture of thermal efficiency and muscular relaxation that also significantly compromises readiness for immediate flight. When a bird adopts a resting posture in your presence, settling into the branch with feathers fluffed, neck tucked, the whole body communicating ease rather than readiness, it has decided that the cost of maintaining flight readiness near you is not justified by the threat you represent. Which is to say, it has decided you don't represent a threat worth maintaining flight readiness for. This is a subtle signal, and easy to miss if you don't con what the alert posture looks like in comparison. But once you've seen it, the settling, the slight puffing, the relaxation of the whole frame, you will recognize it immediately, and you will know what it means. The fifth sign is something most people have experienced, but very few have interpreted correctly. The bird that stays on the branch when you walk directly underneath it. Flight initiation distance is the minimum threshold at which a bird will flush from an approaching threat. In a wild environment, a bird will flush from almost any creature larger than itself that comes within its personal safety radius. In a yard where trust has been built, that radius contracts dramatically for the specific trusted human, sometimes to near zero. When you walk under a branch, and the bird sitting on it doesn't move when it watches you pass directly beneath it without spreading its wings, what you are observing is the complete compression of the flight initiation distance. For you specifically, the bird is not frozen in fear. It is not too slow to react. It has assessed the approaching figure, matched the movement profile and the size and the behavior to the file it holds on you, and determined that no response is required. You passed beneath it, and it remained, because it had already decided long before you got there that you don't require a response. If it had been anyone else, that bird would have been gone before they were within 10 feet. What all 5 of these behaviors have in common is not just the suspension of threat monitoring. It is the fact that they happen near you specifically. The bird is not performing them in the abstract. It is performing them with you present, at a distance it has chosen in a yard it shares with you. The behavior is a statement about the relationship between that bird and that person, and the statement is the most direct one a bird can make. The reason most people miss these signals is not that they aren't watching. It's that they don't have the interpretive framework to understand what they're seeing. A bird pining near you looks like a bird going about its routine. A bird with its eyes closed looks like a bird resting. A bird singing overhead looks like a bird doing what birds do. Only when you understand that these behaviors require conditions that your presence is providing, conditions of complete safety, does the significance of what you're witnessing become clear. You have been the subject of a long evaluation. Every morning you came out to fill the feeder. Every afternoon you moved through the yard. Every time you sat on the porch and spoke and moved and existed in the territory these birds share. With you, you were being assessed. The assessment was not dramatic. It happened in the background of your ordinary life, through the accumulated weight of mornings and routines and small, consistent behaviors you performed without thinking about. And somewhere in that accumulation, the threshold was crossed. The classification was updated, and the bird began to show you in the language it has what it had decided. These weren't random moments in your yard. They were communications. The bird was showing you in the clearest behavioral language it has exactly what it had concluded about you. Every time you saw it pin and didn't flush it. Every time it closed both eyes while you were nearby. Every time it sang from the branch right above your head. Every time it settled into its resting posture a few feet from where you were standing. Every time it stayed on the branch when you walked under it. It was telling you the same thing every time. It just didn't know you weren't listening. Have you ever seen your bird near you, close its eyes, or sing from very close range without flushing when you were nearby? Tell me in the comments what you saw and how close you were. Subscribe to Backyard Bird Mind if this changes what you'll notice next time you speak. And share this with someone who feeds birds, because what they've baked. Have been watching has always meant more than they knew.